Okay, so hopefully the sorts of things that you came up with for public sector organisations, it could be simple as thing of finance, losing your budget. So that can threaten the viability of the various tasks that you've got to comply. If you're required to do these tasks by law, then there may be a legal duty in there, and so being challenged on that legally may be another risk that you have to consider. Data loss or poor issues around data may be a risk for a public sector organisation, and productivity decreases as you lose staffing might be another consideration. So you get the general idea. Private organisations, the finance can be an issue again, in this case profit, and their very existence or viability could be an issue if, for instance, there's some kind of change in technology which allows a competitor to gain a significant edge. There's an example of this might be before they came up with a it's either a diode or a transistor, forgive me, I can't recall which, to replace, no, it's a transistor, to replace the old transformers which they had in the plug-in mains adapters for charging up batteries. When they developed a transistor that would do the job, then that saved, so that meant that the industry for producing these transformers, these plug-in transformers, just vanished overnight. And so you can see how not keeping up with technology may be a significant risk. Reputational risk is a significant one. You only have to consider some of the woes that Tesco has had over the years to consider some of the reputational issues and people actually actively campaigning to damage that reputation. Security and trust. If you, for instance, for technology organizations such as I believe it's the Xbox, who had their servers hacked and lost almost 1 million people's contact details to a hacker who managed to duplicate and pinch the data. This caused an awful lot of loss of trust, and so this data loss and loss of trust are both issues along with security issues and reputation. So you get an idea, there's actually a whole world of risks out there which you haven't considered, and your health and safety is but one of those risks. And so you will be reporting typically to the person that deals with that area of the business, particularly in larger organizations. And so consequently, you'll be having to consider these sorts of issues in the same sort of meetings that you'll be reporting on the findings of your health and safety risk assessments. And actually, if you think about it, health and safety contributes towards a lot of these. So just take a moment to think about if you did have a serious accident. I think B&Q is probably a very good example here. If B&Q had an incident where they had forklift. Well, they run forklifts in store at the same time as they have customers in store, and customers are notoriously unreliable things and not very good at staying behind the barriers where they're meant to. And so they had a forklift truck operating in an aisle, and it managed to squash one of their customers. And so this caused an investigation and a prosecution by their local authority enforcing body for health and safety. And so they got a very substantial fine. Now, that caused a legal risk. So that was an issue of law, legal risk, reputational risk, financial risk. And so this was a major issue in all those departments. But they need to learn from this in order to make sure that this sort of thing doesn't happen again. And so that's where the this consideration of maturity with regards to risk in organisations comes into play.